FTP stands for Functional Threshold Power, which is the maximum average power, measured in watts, that a cyclist can sustain for approximately 1 hour. I'm a beginner cyclist that has not only never done an FTP test, but I wouldn't even know what it would even be close to. So I've just recently bought the Wahoo Kickr Core 2, so I'm going to be using that and Zwift to do my FTP tests. When it comes to testing FTP on Zwift, there are two main tests. One, the ramp test, and two, the 20-minute test. I know people have different preferences on these, so I'm going to be doing both. Seeing as I have no idea what my FTP is even near, I'm going to do the ramp test first and use the information I get from that to try to do the 20-minute test. Again, I have no idea what my FTP is even near, but I'm hoping it's at least somewhere between 180 watts to 200 watts. It could be lower, but I'm hoping it's at least that. I also currently weigh around 84 kgs, so my watts per kg is definitely not going to be high. So I'm going to be extremely honest and transparent with everything I find in these tests. I'm not going to reshoot things or try and make it perfect. I really just want to document my journey to, first of all, show myself how far I've come later down the line, to show where I came from, and to show other people that you can progress even if you're at a similar level to I am now, or even lower. The ramp test goes up in 20 watt intervals every minute until you can't do any more. You then work out 75% of whatever score you got there, and that's your FTP. Although it does pop up on the screen for you, so you don't have to work it out. So I was quite excited to finally be able to see what my FTP would be, as I've never been able to do this before, as I don't have power meters or a bike computer. As you can see, my heart rate is already really high during the warm-up. There are two reasons for this. One, I have a really high heart rate, which I'm working on, and I was really nervous for some reason. I felt like I was about to start a race. So the warm-up for this is kind of like a calm before the storm. You're getting your legs moving, your heart rate getting up, you're mentally prepping for the effort ahead, and at this point I was feeling pretty good, but still really nervous for what was coming. I tried to settle into what I felt like was a steady rhythm, watching my power numbers, trying to stay smooth with my cadence, but it's tricky when your adrenaline's high and you're diving headfirst into a challenge for the first time with no idea of what's about to happen or where you'll break. You start questioning everything. Is this too easy? Is this too hard? Am I actually feeling good or tired right now? What is my limit? This is where things get real. The legs start burning, your breathing gets heavier, and the seconds start feeling longer. Every time you look down, the time has barely moved. This is where your pacing and mental strength come in, just finding that balance between pushing and surviving. The last few minutes of this are pretty much just pure pain. Everything in your body is telling you to stop. You stop caring about the numbers and you just want to hang on for as long as you can. That's what's cool about the FTP test though. It's as much of a mental test as it is a physical one. You learn a lot about how far you can push yourself. I was already thinking at 220 watts that this is where I'll have to stop. But then I saw 240 watts and I decided to take it on. Once it's over, you just spin your legs and try to remember how to breathe again. My legs were absolutely cooked at this point, but I felt really rewarded finally being able to see an FTP. Okay, so for my first ever FTP test, I got 181 watts. While this is within the range I wanted, between 180 to 200 watts, I was kind of hoping for higher, but I guess I'll take it. So I am, of course, looking on the positive side of this, as I do know this is just the starting point, even though I wanted it to be higher, because I'm not really competing with anyone else, only myself. So all this means is that there's so much more room to grow, and that the next time I do this test a month from now, it should be a lot easier to beat. The 20-minute test takes you through a warm-up, and you then have to maintain your highest watts for 20 minutes, and your FTP is 95% of your score. Okay, so this is the test I was way more nervous for and didn't even want to do because I had no idea how I would be able to maintain 200 watts consistently for so long. But at this point, I was going to give it a try. So unlike with the ramp test, the warm-up is not the calm before the storm. This warm-up is a storm before the storm. It genuinely was pretty tough already and took so much out of me. 20 minutes also seems quite short, but it's way longer than you would think. especially when you're trying to go all out for that amount of time. So as you can see, I'm already struggling quite a bit with a really high heart rate, and I haven't even started the main test yet. This is still the warm-up and my heart rate is almost at its max already. Okay, so we finally get to the test. Let's see what we can do. Going into this test, I really did think it was a test that wouldn't suit me, but damn, I did not realize it would be this bad. I didn't think it would go like this at all. 1 minute in, I'm genuinely feeling super tired already. Legs are burning, heart rate super high, and I feel extremely tired. I'm not even close to the watts I should be at. At this point, I really had no idea how I was about to get through another 19 minutes of this. About 1 minute and 10 seconds in, heart rate super high, nowhere near the power I needed to be. I started talking to myself, and I was like, Luke, this is nowhere where you need to be. I can do so much more than this. I can push the power. And that's when I broke. I fully broke. I failed. I couldn't do it. I literally got 1 minute and 40 seconds into the actual test and had to call it. So what did I learn from all of this? Well, quite a lot actually. Firstly, I think I prefer the ramp test over the 20-minute test. Also, the next time I do the 20-minute test, I'm definitely not going so hard in the warm-up. It really took so much out of me and was probably pretty stupid in hindsight. So according to the ramp test, my FTP is 181 watts. According to the 20-minute test, I don't have an FTP as I couldn't do it. This just proves how much of a difference there are between them and why different people suit the different tests better. So I'm still not sure if I couldn't do that test based on the circumstances that day, or if I'm just not able to hold that power for even 20 minutes. On that day, it was really hot. I was really tired. I had one meal that day, barely any sleep, and had barely hydrated. However, I don't think those are really the reason. I do think it was probably just down to my fitness. I am, however, pretty nervous to take the 20-minute test again, as I don't really want to find out right now because I know it's quite hard. I will be tackling it again in a month, but for now, I'm just going to keep training. Another really important thing is that as good as it can be to push yourself and to find your limits, I also think it's really important to listen to yourself and to know when to call it. I do think it's for the best I didn't do more in that test, as I don't think anything good would have come from it. So, do I think 181 watts is my actual FTP? Well, no, probably not. I don't really think I can maintain that, but I will find out soon. However, this is the first data that I have that I can work on and now improve upon. So I'm of course going to ramp up my training now to improve on my endurance and just general fitness, as well as my zone 2 to get my heart rate lower. So a month from now, yeah, hopefully my FTP results will be a lot better, and hopefully I can finally get some good endurance and power in my legs so that I can finally complete the 20-minute test. I feel like I said finally quite a lot there. So yeah, all this being said, although I am taking it positively, I am also still taking it personally, and I am going to work really hard to improve. Let me know in the comments which test you prefer between the two, what your first FTP results were, and if you have any good tips on improving the FTP that worked for you. Cool. See you soon.